Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the hot seat talk in this occasion all about blockchain. On my right, I have Mr. Luis Carbajo, the co-founder and CEO of Fortune, and on my left, I have Mr. Quirze Salomó, Chief Executive Officer, Centre Blockchain, or the Centre Blockchain of Catalonia. Now, everybody's heard about blockchain, and they link it with cryptocurrency. But I'm never sure that when you ask someone what it is, very few really know how to answer that question. However, it has changed the way we operate, the way businesses work. It has improved productivity, it's improved protecting data. Yeah? So in today's blockchain offers enormous potential in today's tech landscape. Yeah? But there is also a good degree of uncertainty around the technology, okay, lack of knowledge, and how it can be used to solve everyday business problems. Yes, it is a private or sometimes public ledger, blockchain, and it's responding to a model where our traditional governance models can no longer protect, no longer are good enough. So, and the second thing is that they are far more secure. So we're looking from, which is very traditional, supply chain management, healthcare, identity management, intellectual property, just to name a few. Those are the areas that blockchain has having a very important impact. Now, blockchain is global, but the Mediterranean has its own idiosyncrasies, its own challenges. And I would like to understand how we're going to use, and this is my first question, gentlemen, how are you going to use blockchain to make our small and medium-sized enterprises more sustainable?
Understanding in terms of sustainability as a 360 degrees, not only economical sustainability, because when you're talking about small and medium enterprises in Mediterranean Sea, the big problem is economical sustainability, okay, for these companies, because you have a small company, you need to pay every month your payroll and so on, and that is for an entrepreneur, a small entrepreneur, this is the biggest challenge. Let's say that what will help to these small companies, to me, the biggest value of the blockchain can offer to small companies is to work together, okay? To compete, but working together. The biggest value of blockchain is putting communities sharing the same values, working for the same goal. And in terms of sustainability, economically or climate or other goals that we need in the humanity, the blockchain offers this I think, this is the disruptive part of the blockchain, because this decentralization that offers the blockchain is key to build these communities and put these communities of small companies working together. Because the problem of small companies and medium companies usually is the scale. Okay, blockchain can solve this problem, putting a lot of small companies working for the same goal, economical goal.
Yeah, I completely agree. At the end of the day, I think that this technology, when we think about it, it's really a layer that is a little bit different than internet, from the point of view that internet has been key to send information all across the world, and blockchain promises exactly the same, but with value. And value, obviously, it's something that we can argue about what is the meaning of value, depends on who you are talking with. But value, it's obviously money. So there is the currency part of the crypto side of the blockchain technology that could be really useful. And in the Mediterranean region, where probably not in every country have the same access to service of the financing services, all the population, this technology can help in that specific space. But value could be something as specific as a diploma from a university. I remember that when we started in our company, we have a demand from the Minister of Education in Egypt, because a lot of people from Egypt was basically living abroad, and they were sending money back to their country, and that was important for the whole country. And one of the challenges that they face is that they have great education in Egypt, but they couldn't verify that education outside Egypt. So blockchain can allow, for example, that all the universities in Egypt put this diploma in the blockchain, and they can verify this diploma in Germany, in Spain, in Italy. So these Egyptians can have access to better jobs when they arrive to these countries. So there are multiple things that we can think that is value, but this technology allows us to transmit and to receive this value worldwide. And I think that that potential can be used by small companies, by individuals, by big companies, by government. So it's a huge revolution in the sense that is going to allow us to transmit value between us in a more simple way. So from that point of view, the collaboration that allows to do the verification, the layer of verification that allows to do, is really important. And these companies that are innovative in the way that they see digital transformation as part of the things that they need to do to survive, they are going to arrive to blockchain, because basically that is the way. There is no other way to finish with a lot of digital transformation in your company if you don't go through these new emerging technologies.
Muchas gracias. Ahora voy a cambiar a castellano.
Muy bien.
Cambiamos. Muchísimas gracias. Es verdad que cuando hablamos de sostenibilidad de una pequeña, una pyme, o hablamos, por ejemplo, lo que has comentado, el tema de los diplomas de Egipto para que se puedan verificar. Claro, el blockchain tiene mucho más usos que el meramente económico, sobre todo el tema de datos.
Correcto.
¿Vale? Hemos estado viendo, además ayer aquí pude ver un premio, el Open Arms, y están diciendo, hablando del Mediterráneo como una región, pero también hablando de la cantidad de gente que se tenía que emigrar buscando una vida mejor fuera. Y esto también nos ayudaría mucho a poder controlar dónde está la gente en cualquier momento del día. Ahora mismo tenemos, no sé, hay gente sin papeles que potencialmente
potentially have access to, well, let's say they're in another country, but they don't have them because blockchain, well, we've not been using it. Can this help our Mediterranean region? I think without a doubt. Some of the projects that have really been emphasized in terms of person identification has been implemented by the UN in refugee camps to help how we can identify these people who don't have documents and they had to be sent from another country, and the people will be sent to another country, not their destination, their country of residence. So that could be one potential solution to a problem that we have when your data belong or are saved in a database in one country that you're fleeing from, and you most likely cannot recover those documents. But if the data is saved in the blockchain, then the data is yours. You can have access to them wherever you go. If you go to a host country, well, the organization can know who you are, what you've done, and have a lot of verified information that can help you across all of these processes. And I think in the short term, that can be one solution to this type of human problems that we are suffering. So where are we now in the Mediterranean region when it comes to the use of blockchain, when we talk about mid and large-sized companies and authorities? So where are we right now? Could you say that we are now on a par with European Union or the United States when we speak about the Mediterranean region, not just speaking about Spain? So countries from the African continent, for example. I think there are two levels. One is more for blockchain for digital transformation, for credentials, identification, supply chain, and those sort of things. I would say we're rather pioneer for our own fabric and landscape in Spain, France. There's industrial fabric in food industries where we see blockchain technology was quickly applied to their processes, and we already see that happening. And then there's another level, which is maybe the financial services. Financial services, often the southern countries are ahead of us, maybe because of need. Well, it's very easy to get a bank account, but not in those countries. So that's where we've seen the demand for services, which maybe here, well, we think, why do we need a digital wallet where you can have an exchange of digital dollars? We don't even consider it, whereas there it is necessary because they don't have other means to do so. So I think there are two levels when it comes to business as such. What I know best is Spain, of course, and to some extent France and Italy in Europe. We're doing very well. I think Spain is particularly at the region of Catalonia. We've done excellent work when it comes to digital identity, etc. And crypto or financial services, blockchain services, that's not the same. Let's say in Egypt or other countries that are even further south, which are ahead of us in terms of use, not terms of speculation, but in terms of use. Yes, if I can share that vision where the southern countries, because of need, financial need, they're adopting technology quicker. I think there's an adoption of blockchain that we don't speak about a lot, which is the gaming industry, and it's here. We're seeing an adoption there. And I would say that's quite similar across the Mediterranean. Play to learn across all countries, and in the southern countries, well, maybe we see a difference there. So you're saying that blockchain itself is generating new business opportunities? Certainly. And the gaming industry is an example. I think our case, not so long ago, Mr. Zuckerberg, well, he's talking about the metaverse and everybody just got into it. What is metaverse going to be, and creating metaverses? And that's where blockchain plays an important role, because it's the layer below this new digital world where you're claiming digital ownership, and that's an unknown world. So that's where we're seeing investment, huge investment, and a lot of development. I would say that it's all comes down to need. Maybe in the south it's more, how can I transfer money? How can I send money? And so that's the part they're using. And in our case, on our side, it's more entertainment and those areas that we're seeing growing so much. Thank you. So if we now look, if we take it back to businesses, companies, and well, you've just mentioned metaverse, and talking about the different business models that exist. From In the next 10 years, what role is blockchain going to play? How do you see it? How do you see the integration in the business fabric in the Mediterranean region? We've seen it out of need, the differences between North and South. But in 10 years' time, what do you see? I think Luis spoke about a key topic there, the metaverse. And I think from the Centre of Blockchain Catalonia, well, you've mentioned a layer. We speak more about the backbone, the metaverse, as I think blockchain plays an essential role there. And the main use case, not in the Mediterranean, but in the world, let's say, of blockchain is going to be in a couple of years or in 3 years' time, is going to be in metaverse. That's where it's going to be most used. It's going to be through metaverse applications. So I see that metaverse is a business and social frontier that we've never seen the likes of before. And I think if we speak about in 10 years' time, then of course it's a business opportunity for young people and for creating new social models. It's here, metaverse, and that's where blockchain is going to play such an essential role when it comes to identity, exchanging value. It's going to be the backbone. So do you think there's going to be the traditional business model in some way is going to have to compete with a new player? I don't think it's going to compete with a new player in the same way as when internet appeared. We weren't competing versus traditional companies. Initially, internet was only for, email, let's say, but we knew that it was a technology that could enable different business models to be set up. So e-commerce, so products that you would have in your region could be sold globally, and there would be customers, buyers looking for those products. So that revolution is what we're going to see in blockchain. It's not going to compete with the traditional model. It's going to enable a company to set up completely different business models to what they had or what they currently have. I think that's how we're going to see things move. So a textile company that's selling jackets right now, what we'll see is that those jackets, well, there'll also be demand for those jackets in the metaverse. How will they sell them? Well, they'll have to use blockchain for that. I think that that's going to be the trigger for companies moving to new business models. They're going to say, okay, the jacket that a person buys right now is also going to be worn by their avatar. That wasn't the model before. We didn't sell these digital products before. I think it's going to be an evolution rather than a competition. So it's like the NFT. Yeah, NFTs allow you, well, we have a brand here. We know where we've bought the jacket from. And in digital worlds, the way of showing the brand and showing who made it is NFTs. So there's a lot to be done in the future, and lots of brands are looking to see how can we create new income, new revenue streams, how can we interact with the new generations, the younger generations who spend more time in digital worlds than in physical worlds. Well, that's the problem, right? Well, the problem or the key to understanding the future. Exactly. Yes, but there's something else in that. After 2 years of the pandemic, even I got into the virtual world with avatars. Well, they can be very fun, of course. You can be a character in the virtual world that you can't be in the real world. But on the other hand, when you come out of this virtual universe, there's a cost of assimilation, people having to readapt to community. Let's say they weren't in a metaverse at that time, but they were in a fictional world. So if we have a traditional company, and maybe due to a lack of knowledge, they don't know how to apply blockchain, because it's true that one of the main reasons for SMEs is the lack of knowledge of blockchain. And I think the second thing could be the cost, because from what I've read, no, it's not a problem now. That's not a problem now. Initially, well, as what always happens, or what we tend to see happening, initially there were very few people creating blockchain solutions or apps. It was all very academic, and so it was the big companies investing in this to find out what's this all about. And of course, now that interest has grown from investors on the one hand and from companies themselves, it has now become, well, a whole host of companies that have made it very affordable, accessible. We work with companies that are literally, let's say, 4 guys who have just got started and have no cash, to big multinationals who want to understand, how is this all going to work? And so, no, it's very affordable now, accessible. I think, given what you just said, and I said, no, we're not talking about the future in 10 years' time. I think we have to think, we will spend, look, in 10 years' time and beyond, part of our lives, a significant part of our lives, I can't dare to say how much, but a significant amount of our lives is going to be spent in these metaverses as consumers. We're going to be consuming there. So yes, we'll see new business models based on the life that we're going to be creating in that space. And that space is just as real as the one we experience. I'm not saying that it's different. Just because it's digital doesn't make it unreal. There you experience one reality and another reality here. And that's the change of chip that we have to go through. You know, you mentioned coming out of a virtual world and coming back into the real world, the physical world. You may be slightly shocked, but we have to get used to living. And at one point, we're just going to have a mixed reality. We'll see the reality over there, here, and vice versa. We have to adapt, our generation, but the ones who are already in it, they already live that way. It's completely natural for them. And I'm wondering, well, it's true that the Mediterranean area, we have great talent, great entrepreneurs. You've spoken about people who go to Dubai, and great talent. But we also have this generation that has to adapt. And we've seen that depending on the generation, there's Generation C, and you see that it's extremely complicated to the extent that they even are, you know, pushing against this. So is it better the devil you know? That type of thing. And we apply that also to companies. Well, that's due slightly to blockchain, as we're talking about metaverse, and spaces with lots of friction to access them. It's not just you access it and then you start using it. Like a fax where you just click a button and you send it. People don't use fax anymore. Yeah, but it's the fax generation who are struggling to come into this world. That's why I use that example. But the world is now blockchain, and blockchain as a technology has, well, there's more people. It's going to be easier to use. And you think it's about giving ourselves 5 years more, and we'll see blockchain far more integrated in the whole business fabric, regardless of the nature of the business? I like comparing blockchain and internet because it's very similar in terms of how long it took for them to be adopted and some of the questions and issues we see right now. Having gone through the evolution of internet, I can remember what happened at that time. So we spoke at that time of intranet versus internet. So there were companies that maybe couldn't upload things to internet because they were too public, so they kept them on the intranet. And we're kind of seeing the same thing with blockchain. At the end of the day, people no longer speak about internet. They speak about e-commerce businesses, about YouTube, about e-communication. Internet is just a means of communication for any company. They have to have internet because they have a website, they have an e-shop. And the same's going to happen with blockchain over time, with the friction that Kirsa just mentioned. Friction, things that have to happen to make it easy to use. But as we see that friction reducing and it becomes easier to use, people aren't going to think, will I use blockchain or I must use blockchain? No, they're going to think, I need to create wearables for the metaverse and I need to have NFTs that are collectionable or whatever. They're not going to be thinking about the technology. They're going to be thinking about what they're going to be using. And so that's the major difference. I think that's the difference, that we're asking, well, at the moment we're thinking, how does it work? The why and the how. At the moment we're just thinking about the technology. Well, yeah, I went through the entire process of internet, that's true. So even the first laptop, a Singler. And that just shows how much we adapt. And humans, we are so adaptable. We have this capacity to adapt when we have the right knowledge. Thank you to both of you. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions right now. Are you all okay?
No one's got any questions. So thank you very much indeed to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry I have to cut so short.